What's up, y'all? I am in Detroit, Michigan right now in a hotel room, and it's pretty cool. I have my little cheap Focusrite interface hooked up. That's what I was able to do the healthy dose of shred with. That is one thing that I always like to recommend guitar players do, is just put on a backing track and don't stop. Just don't stop shredding and just running scales and stuff like that. It's a good way to really get your fingers moving and, learn the fretboard like totally up and down, and definitely helps with timing, especially if the goal is to like have as little pauses in between licks and runs as possible. Something that I'm still trying to get better at. Obviously I'm not going to be doing something like you just heard on stage with the band, or with anyone's band for that matter, with the fear of being completely annoying. But what it does is it just kind of, shredding up and down the fretboard for a good 3 minutes. Sometimes I go longer, sometimes it's like 10 minutes. But for the sake of this video and y'all's ears, I wasn't going to do that to you. But it really helps you get the fretboard down. I can't recommend it enough. And as you heard, I was kind of going back and forth between 3 different things, like a minor pentatonic and mixolydian, and sometimes just major, kind of that circle of fifths. Like I was in, the Les Paul is a whole step down, so I was playing in A minor, but on the fretboard it looked like a B minor. And when I went down to major, doing the circle of fifths, I was going down to that G sharp minor pentatonic form, which turns it into a major. And, that's your classic, Allman Brothers Blue Sky kind of form, doing it like that. And it's a really easy way to play in a major key, using the pentatonic scales. You guys know this. I'm mansplaining here. Anyway, yeah, healthy dose of shred. Try it at home. Hey, shout out to Chicago Music Exchange, specifically Jet over at Chicago Music Exchange. We just did 2 nights in Talia Hall. And I guess this hangout, video is almost like a little tour update as well. I think we've played 6 shows. Asheville, 2 Ohio shows, and then we did 2 nights in a row in Chicago. And I always like to go to Chicago Music Exchange. It's pretty incredible. I mean, look at all these guitars. They're insane. And I feel like every time I'm there, this dude Jet is always working, and he's always, hooking me up and showing me stuff that he's excited about. I got to hold and play or fiddle around with the SG that Gary Rossington did the slide on Freebird with, and then I got to play around with a real 52 Telecaster. Now, y'all know I have a 52 reissue, and I got to play the real thing. I've never played a old 52, vintage Telecaster. I've barely played any vintage guitars, believe it or not. And one thing that I'll point out about the 52 reissue that I have was, man, the neck was so similar to the original. Like, I think Fender did a really, really good job. The reissue, it's got like a thicker, the like back of the neck is like much thicker. So after playing the 52 yesterday in Chicago Music Exchange, and play meaning I like did an A chord and then like 2 licks, and then just immediately handed it back to Jet. I was like, this guitar is $64,000. Like, I don't need to be holding it. But anyway, after kind of fiddling around with it for like 2 minutes, I might sand down the neck of my Tele just to kind of get it to feel like that more. Because my 52 reissue is like really like has that thick glossy coat on the back. And I've actually done that to my Les Paul. I sanded that down a long time ago, and I love it. It's great. So maybe the Tele's next. Maybe I'll get someone like my buddy Matt Hughes, who makes the Banker guitars, to do it proper, in fear of myself maybe messing it up. So anyway, if you're in Chicago Music Exchange, ask for Jet. He's a great dude, great guitar player too, from all the stuff I've seen. Another little update. On this tour, I've been running a lot. My goal for this tour is to run every show day, which is a lot because we don't have too many days off. So just been running and trying to stay active and keeping my brain nice and fresh and clear. It's really easy when you're on tour. And for those of you who tour watching this video, you know what I'm talking about. It's easy to rot in the green room or in the van or on the bus. Just sit there and just turn into a pile of sludge. And I'm guilty of it, in the past. And it was really affecting my mood on tour. I would have way shorter of a fuse. My sleep was bad. I'd start drinking earlier. And by drinking, I've never been a big drinker, but, I would have a beer earlier in the day than I normally would. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but, think about, this is obviously my life and my passion, but it's also my job. I don't necessarily need to just be sludgy and inactive before I go into work. I want to be fresh. I want to be excited and energetic. I would say that most people should probably not consume alcoholic beverages before they go into their job at 8 a.m. So why is it different for us? The music industry is so weird. It's so ridiculous. Like the things that are acceptable in the world of touring and music is, I think, unacceptable. But anyway, I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to rant. I'm 100% guilty of everything that I just said. So running on tour has been a way to kind of kick that. I want to feel good. I want to feel fresh. And this tour in particular, it's been interesting running because it's been like 17 degrees some places. And, I've been putting on all the gear and stuff and throwing on my Hokas, and it's been great. I love it. It's freezing cold, but by the end of it, like, you're hot. Then that post-run shower feels so good. Another thing is I brought my acoustic on this tour because my good dear friends in King Buffalo, they asked me before the tour if I could play Morning Song with them, which that's on Longing to Be the Mountain, which is an album that I played a lot of acoustic on. I also produced the album, but I think more importantly, my claim to fame was the acoustic guitar that I added on the album. The Morning Song's in the key of F, I think. Yeah, it's F, because this guitar is tuned to open F. So it's got the low C, and then the A string is an F. It's like exactly like open G, but open F. So down a whole step. That's about what it sounds like. And then with Morning Song, so I play this on the the whole first half of the song, and then I switch over to electric. But it's been so much fun getting on stage with those guys. I love those dudes. I talk about them a lot on this channel because they're close to me. They're constantly in my life and stuff. They're great friends. But Morning Song, it's just the open F and very, very easy. I remember when I tracked the acoustic for it, it was after the recording session, and I don't remember if the goal was to do acoustic on the album, but I somehow got the stems from Sean, and I was like, I want to try a couple things before you start mixing. And I was obsessed with Fearless at the time by Pink Floyd. And I was like, I'm just gonna rip off Fearless and put it on this track for them. And I didn't think that I was gonna get away with it. I thought that one of the guys in the band was gonna be like, try something else, which I was gonna be fine with. But I had to do that kind of stuff, and they liked it, and I was stoked. And it's our nod to, probably mutually our favorite band together. Anyway, yeah. So that's been really, really cool getting to play with them. Morning Song every day. We've been doing it every night, but it's been fun. These shows have been great. Gotten a lot of good feedback. We've added Talisman to the set, which is really, really cool. I'm very psyched about that. And some other random ones, we added Harvest Feast as well. We're kind of flip-flopping. If we don't play Marriage of Coyote Woman, we're playing Harvest Feast. And we added Cowboy Kirk every now and then, and a new song as well, which I'm sure in the near future you guys will know about. But yeah, shows have been awesome. It's been really cool. Very grateful to everyone who's come out to see them. And takeaways from this hangout session is it's good to be in a hotel right now, because we're in a bus, and there's 10 of us on the bus, or 9 of us, and I guess we're getting hotels on days off, and it's nice to just stretch out and do laundry. And I don't have to run today because it's not a show day. So anyway, thank you for watching. Please practice your fretboard runs and try not to stop. If you just keep it going, you're gonna mess up. I messed up a couple times for sure in that intro thing, but you're just finding your way. And then what will eventually happen is you'll come up on a lick, and then you'll just want to repeat it over and over. And then boom, in the bank, the lick bank, so to say. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. I'll try and get another one out before the tour is done. Bye.